Hello, and welcome back to a little bit of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. This is, or this was just a quick test that I just did, and I'm gonna do it again because, well, first of all, this one we're gonna look at some destroyer behavior, which is not quite what I want it to be, but it's fine enough. They're aggressive enough. This is just for comparison. So let's see, we're turning the guns off and we're dropping down to like just under 20 knots because we're pretending to be dreadnoughts right now. These are 1950s battleships because they're survivable enough to take some hits from those battleships on the enemy side, which are just there because well, I'm doing some more AI adjustments, and I want to make sure that whatever I do doesn't make enemy battleships act all dumb. So that's why they're here. We just want to see if the enemy destroyers, of which there are many, will aggressively go in and attack my battleships. And in the last test, they did. I turned my guns off. I don't really want to test if I can fight destroyers. I'm pretty confident of that. I want to see if the destroyers can fight me. So in this one, I've just set 99% of the enemy divisions to act as scouts. Not ideal, not really what I want, but for these ships, these destroyers with almost 20-kilometer torpedo range, it works out fine. They're coming at me into torpedo range, and they're gonna be launching right about now. I think. There we go. Spider is already launching. And at this point, it's gonna be hard for me, even if I actually try to dodge, to avoid all of this torpedo spam. In fact, they're coming a little bit closer than what would be ideal, given that they have a very long torpedo range. So again, this isn't the ideal behavior, but you can see they are very aggressive. Look at that bundle of torpedoes that Kaiser Wilhelm just took. Look at all the torpedoes they're launching at their own ships. It's full-on carnage, and yeah. Now let's do a similar test in 1890 versus these TV90s, these torpedo boats. And this is where things get a little bit weird. Right, so they've spawned behind me here. I'm just going to turn around with my 3 battleships, turn the guns off. And I've done this a bunch of times now with my own modified AI behavior, different types of modifications with just the baseline dip AI behavior, and with the vanilla Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts AI behavior, and a lot of things in between, and also more extreme than either vanilla or dip. And it doesn't really make a big difference as far as the torpedo boats go. One parameter that I tried adjusting is, I forgot what it's called, but hang on. Division attack offset, which is the distance in front of the target that the AI division tries to converge to. The vanilla number is like 5,300. The dip number is 1,500. I've tried to set it to somewhere in between. I've tried 1,500. I've tried 500. I've tried 50. I've tried minus 50. Or more than the vanilla number, which is like 10,000 or so. And they still kind of just do the same thing, these torpedo boats, as we've seen in some campaign battles too. they just don't close in with their torpedoes. They seem to be quite content at just firing their guns. I'm even dropping down to quite slow now. They could easily rush me. But they are headed for that point in front of my my battleship division. That's where they're going. I can even try to go a little bit towards them. And they're just, nope, we don't want to do this. See, they're cutting away from me. And it kind of just makes me wonder, I can't find anything about it in the parameters. See, the battleships are being aggressive. Are we going to end up being torpedoed by the battleships and not the torpedo boats? And yeah, they're set to scouting now, but it's the same if I set them to screening or anything else. So I wonder, are torpedo boats actually set to try and attack with torpedoes, or are they somehow set to be like gunboats or something? And here again, a second test. This time I'm just using the base dip AI behavior, and the torpedo boats seem to be mostly happy just taking pot shots at me. The division rolls in dip are 20% following the flagman, which would be these guys here, 20% as scouts, and 20 as screening. In vanilla, it's 75% scouting and 90% screening, which doesn't add up, but that's what the numbers are. I forget off the top of my head what I had it to when I had the AI do all those flanking attacks, which was quite fun. But again, this behavior from the torpedo boats, they just are not torpedoing. Hello and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. We're gonna be testing some more changes I've been doing with the AI. So, why change the AI from the regular Dreadnought Improvement Project AI in the first place? Well, if you check out any late campaign video from my previous Ottoman campaign, or the Norwegian campaign, or I guess the Italian one before that even, the AI typically blobs up all their ships into one big blob. Now that works pretty well, actually, for them early in the pre-Dreadnought era. It's not a bad thing to do. You kind of just want your ships as one big blob crashing into the enemy big blob of ships. That's not the worst tactic in 1890. But as you progress throughout the years, and when you get into like fast battleships and stuff, that's really stops working, because as long as you have a unit of fast battleships that are faster than the enemy blob, you can just control the engagement from a distance. And especially if you have some destroyers or something with long-range torpedoes, you open up the battle with a huge wave of torpedoes straight into their blob, and whatever ships don't sink from that end up being flooded and really slow, and then, you know, you're just shooting fish in a barrel until you win, which is not ideal. The versions I've done where they just try to surround me, that ends up actually working quite well if the AI has destroyers with oxygen torpedoes, because the distance at which they surround me with the oxygen torpedoes, that kind of works. And it's actually really really difficult to play against, because you end up having 20-kilometer oxygen torpedoes coming at you from every direction. So that's kind of scary. But with that behavior, the AI just doesn't work with anything shorter range than that. So I kind of scrapped that idea. So let's just see. I've turned the guns off on these battleships. These are 1950s German super battleship. They are quite decently armored, so the enemy battleships and battlecruisers shouldn't be able to do much to me. Those ships are there because I've also set a percentage of the AI divisions to be following the flagship. So in the last test I ran, there was a squadron of destroyers also following the battleships, not just the battlecruisers, but I guess I can't see them at this distance. So the battleships and battlecruisers keeping at long range. Not quite in range yet, but they will be soon enough. And everything else being a little bit more aggressive. You got the destroyers, the light cruisers, the heavy cruisers. Mainly looking at destroyer behavior here, but I kind of need the other classes too to make sure that even if I were to have effective aggressive destroyers on their own, I don't want them just to be clustered around a heavy cruiser if those are present. So that's why they are in the test as well. Let's just have the battleships sail straight here, trying to combat my instinct of turning away from the oncoming destroyers, because we're just going to be looking at what the destroyers are doing. And the destroyers are indeed closing in with torpedoes. Light cruisers too. They wouldn't have to get this close. These guys have 21-kilometer torpedoes, but at least this would work if they had short-range torpedoes as well. And we're starting to take the first torp hits. Okay, so aggressive enough. Now let's see if we detach them all, put them on AI control, which is a separate mod from the Society of Molten Steel mod. Okay, we lost the first battleship already. Took a bunch of torps. 30 torpedoes. Yeah, that'll do it. I think it's too late for the other guys to dodge here. They've taken 19. Saxon not quite having taken as many torpedoes yet, but with the other two dead, you can see these are already like converging on it. AI cap not doing the best job of dodging, that's for sure. Are we gonna see some ramming here? AI versus AI ramming, or they're just gonna dump? No, they just dumped a bunch of torps in at almost max range. See, we've been credited with 8 torpedo hits of our own despite not launching anything, so that's just the AI getting in the way of their own torps. So that was test 1 done. We somehow sunk a light cruiser I don't think that was our doing, but fair enough. Let's do that again, but actually trying to fight back. Alright, so let's pretend our objective is to try and sink the enemy capital ships. And can we do that without the enemy destroyers getting in our way? 52-kilometer range. Okay, so the battleships are sailing like southeast-ish. Let's try and turn and just sail parallel to them and see if we can keep our main guns focused on the enemy battleships for long enough before the destroyers come and disturb us. By the way, some of the other modifications that I've done to the parts file, which is the stats of all the different hull types and towers and all that stuff, I've gone through and made battleships, all battleships actually, and some battle cruisers, made them a little bit more visible, increased the hull visibility. Most heavy and light cruisers I've just kept the same in that regard. Destroyers and torpedo boats I've made less visible. And I've also gone into the accuracies file, which controls the weather effects. As you can see here, the +12 for daytime, for clear weather, all that stuff. In that file you also have stats for visibility in different weather types. And in vanilla you get +0 for day and clear weather, and you get big minus numbers for night and rain and storm and stuff like that. Dip flips that around. You get +0 in nighttime and in storm, and you get I think it's +50 off the top of my head for daytime and clear weather. So I've just reduced that to +25 at most for daytime and clear weather, and -20 I think for storm. So it's somewhere in between vanilla and dip. I set the weather effects too. So the results of that should be that battleships and battlecruisers stay mostly as visible as they are in dip, while destroyers and torpedo boats are a little bit more stealthy, more like in vanilla. So we're gonna see how that works out. Well, these have, you know, modern towers and radar and stuff, so we're spotting the destroyers anyway. And also it's daytime. Anyway, have we scored a lot of damage yet on these Yamato battleships? Maybe firing AP would be better with the main guns. The secondary guns are now starting to engage the first enemy destroyer. Got some pretty heavy secondary batteries on these things. For tower spotting, I haven't really done any big changes other than early game light cruisers, which had really bad tower spotting for some of them. Okay, first destroyer has launched onto the next one. It's been defeated. Gonna try and turn away a little bit, but these ships do not turn quickly. I think it's time to maybe have these main guns do something other than fight the faraway battleships. because the DDs are a bit more pressing matter. Got a big squadron over here. They're not in torpedo range yet. And you can see with the enemy spread out like this, if I had destroyers with torpedoes, I could probably get some hits, but not on their entire fleet at once. We were able to sink Sugi before she launched. Ryutsuki has already launched. Can't really go faster than this. I have to detach Wilhelm here. So Oldenburg and Reinhardt can speed up. So the objective of the test here is actually that I shouldn't be able to survive this kind of battle. This should be a kind of matchup that I go, okay, no, withdraw if it pops up, or if that is a failure, I just try and run away at the start to get the end battle option. It shouldn't be me going, oh yes, I get a bunch of free kills because the AI can't handle their DDs. Secondary guns on that light cruiser. There was a big line of DDs out there somewhere. I guess they're out of view. Hopefully not in front of me. Main guns are turning around, yes. Okay, Wilhelm is getting swamped here. Even the heavy cruisers are rushing in with their torps. Again, I've been credited with 3 torpedo hits. Yeah, I was not given much time to engage those battleships, was I? I wonder if it's this time like in a previous test, there is actually a squadron of destroyers guarding the battleships. It could be just out of view. Okay, these guys have are coming in to join. Yeah, Reinhardt going down now too. Took a load of torpedoes from that passing heavy cruiser. These guys have, let's see, what is it? Anti-torp 4 and triple bottom. So they can soak up a few torpedoes. And they've maxed out resistance to 155, which is lower than the base cap for resistance in dip. So Reinhardt has also gone down. Oldenburg is now the last ship I have remaining. And Izumo is... has Izumo launched from this side already? Yes. The loaded torps are on the other side of the ship. So it is actually maybe less of a threat than Jihaya? Maybe. Okay, no. Jihaya just launched as well. Secondary guns punishing her. These DDs have launched. This squadron has not launched. And they are in torpedo range. Let's see. So who are you? And are you okay, you have actually launched now. Right, okay. So they are doing things. They are joining in. You have launched. Hamanami, they're launching as well. Also, that's another wave of torps I gotta dodge. But that's good. They're actually launching from different directions. Hopefully this enemy light cruiser can shield me from all those torps. Get some ramming action as well. And the enemy battleships are also closing in. Not like suicidally closing in as I'm trying to have them not do, but at least putting their guns to work. Having done quite a lot of damage too, actually. FPS being the biggest victim here. It's down in the single digits. And there. High casualties actually got her. I'd say that is a pretty successful test of some AI behavior, at least in 1950. With fast modern destroyers and long-range torpedoes. Now let's see how the AI handles it in 1900. So another thing I've done is I've adjusted the very early game torpedo ranges. So instead of starting with a 900-meter torpedo range from the initial torpedoes, you now have an 1800-meter torpedo range. Just because the AI was really struggling trying to get into range with the 900-meter torps. So that was increased. I know it's historically accurate that torpedoes in the 1890 had a 900-meter torpedo range, but it was also historically accurate that torpedo boats actually engaged with torpedoes. So it was one or the other, and I went with longer range torpedoes. So from the, I forget the name of the technology, but when you get the 4.5-kilometer torpedoes, from there on out, I've kept it the same. But up to that point, it's a more smoother, more gradual increase of torpedo range with every torpedo tech. So it's not like you have 5 times the range of your torpedoes versus the AI, because they're like 5 years older or something. So let's see how they handle it. Yeah, we're fighting a pretty big enemy force, but we've sunk bigger forces than that in the campaign. And you may recognize the ships here from also from the campaign. Well, they are shared designs after all. They started out as the Naval Design Bureau ships. You got the magenta design and the Victor Hugo. So I think, as in the last test, we're gonna start out with guns off, and torpedoes off too on the battleships, and just see what the AI does. Because if the AI won't even attack my ships when I'm not firing back, then clearly there is work yet to be done. North now, okay. I'm being spotted, and there they are. And there's the first smoke screen. There are many smoke screens, actually. There also. Now, I found in previous tests versus the torpedo boats when they were just not attacking, there is a, let me just pause and alt-tab and double-check what it's called. Division attack offset, which is a point in front of your division that the enemy tries to converge to when attacking. The base number is 5,350 in Manila. In DIP, it's 1,500. I think I've set it to 4,000 or so here. I found that just adjusting it on its own didn't really make much of a difference, but when the torpedo boats were really trying to not get into range, the only way to get them to torpedo me was actually to kite away, because then they had to sail right past my ships to get to that point in front of my ships. But if I started heading towards them, they would try to retreat, which was really weird. That's really not what the torpedo boats should have been doing. But now let's see what they do. I want to not kite away from them, because then they will definitely like try to move through me. I'll see if they still try to attack. if I'm moving towards them or if they're just pulling back. These destroyers are definitely not pulling back. They are coming straight for me. And we get the first torpedo. It's not the best angle, but, you know, a launch is a launch. Sori has a slightly better angle, but still misses. Magenta having taken, there we go, flash fires. My cruisers seem to be getting engaged as well. These have fast torpedoes. These destroyers. They're staying at gun range for now. If they had regular torpedoes, they would almost be in range. But this squadron definitely went in for the attack. Though at a very bad angle for Magenta there. But we're seeing they're doing the surrounding thing. Same behavior as in the last battle, but they're seemingly not being as aggressive. Which is weird. One would think that with shorter range torpedoes than the 20-kilometer oxygen torps on the modern Japanese TDs, they would be trying more to be aggressive, but that's kind of where I've been banging my head against the wall. Because earlier game ships are just, for some reason, not as aggressive, not as keen on moving in close as the modern ships are. And that's really weird, because it should be the opposite. Now I think these are coming in. Yeah, we are in torpedo range, and we have torpedo launch against Saigon. And she's gonna take a full broadside. Actually, just 3. Torpedoes spread there, saving her, but no, flash fires. Here comes some more. Goshawk almost being reloaded. And ammo detonation on Saigon. Gonna be put down by Wrangler here. Which, if that was me playing the British, I would have saved those torps for the next in line. Yeah, still some milling about here. But at least they're milling about in range to actually do something. Most of them are. We're gonna see these light cruisers come in and use their torps as well. Possibly. Let's just have them end it. And then we're gonna do it while trying to fight back. Alright, so I'm being spotted from somewhere. It says the enemy is to the northeast, but they could be spread around on a pretty wide front. Or at least they should be. My own cruisers started quite far away from my battleship, so they finally caught up. Let's see, can I see any like smoke screens? And these should be able to get quite close before being spotted. Oh, there they are. They were not to the northeast. And there's another line. And there's a line as well. And Magenta has already suffered a torpedo explosion. From a very lucky 4-inch hit. And there's a line of torpedo boats. And there's the battleship. Okay, so we're almost looking at the kind of a complete encirclement that we've seen a few times in the campaign. But let's see if this time they actually engage. Taking down one torpedo boat. Quail is in torpedo range. And Thorn has launched. Yeah, now the torpedo boats are really going at it. And we got flash fires on Magenta SD. Magenta, meanwhile, dodges the torpedoes. Brazen has launched. We're gonna be getting torpedoes from that side as well. I don't think Magenta can stop in time. Or turn in time. The ferry had launched, and there's another unit of destroyers. Now let's see if they will actually engage. They're kind of blocking my retreat. If I want to get some more distance between me and all these other ships. Game is very laggy now, down to 3 FPS. that's how it goes when there's a lot of ships and smoke screens involved. I kind of need my armored cruisers to stick around the battleships, because they're being engaged now by cruisers as well. Let's have the secondary guns deal with these DDs. Liberté, you can speed up. You're basically unharmed for now. Barracuda has launched. Don't mean to have you follow each other. Stop that. Kind of started turning the wrong way. I'll blame that on the lag. Accidentally making me select two ships and joining them together. Yeah, here come the torpedo boats. I think they've engaged Piranha mode now. Paragon would have launched if she had regular torps and not fast torpedoes, I think. Liberté takes one. Now we're getting more torps coming in from the rear. Serene, you are out of torps. Torpedo boats really entering Piranha mode now. Let's see, Zebra was out of torpedoes. That was lucky. Otherwise, Magenta would have been taking, no, Liberté would have been taking a whole bunch of torps at point blank range. Which could maybe have worked if they were close enough to not detonate or be duds. Magenta probably won't make it, I'll be honest here. Can't really move. Magenta goes down. Frame rate goes down. Liberté now being swarmed. At this point, I think it's too late to have my cruisers come in and save the battleships. So what I would probably do here now is to have these two that can still move, just try and retreat. This would be a just get out and find the end battle button type of situation in a campaign. And that's the kill on Liberté by Barracuda. Now the DDs are moving in. Strasbourg just takes a lot of torpedoes. Victor Hugo is about to take a lot too. I don't think I can dodge that. Only took 3. And a flash fire. So that's and more flash fires. Well, it's 1900. Everything has a huge flash fire chance. Can Strasbourg get out with a broken rudder and flooding? While everyone is focused on Victor? No. He's now the last one alive. But at least we can kind of fight back. Serene is out of torps. Mandate is also out of torps. Not sure if those blew up or they launched them all. The main guns on Black Prince. The cruisers are, the armored cruisers are not engaging with torps, but they shouldn't really. At least not primarily rush in to do so. Unless they have no other option. And in this case, they do have an option. They can fight me with their guns. There you go, taking the main belt pen from 9-inch AP from Achilles. Falchion coming in with torps on one side. Not the side facing me though, so Urialis also has torps ready. Chatham too? Is he gonna launch? No, strangely enough. But he didn't have to. I'd say that was like pretty decent work by the AI. Would not have an easy time getting out of that one if that was in the campaign, I think. Now let's do one more. One battleship versus 15 torpedo boats. as in it's being ambushed, for example. So these are TB90s. We are in 1890 now with 1.8 kilometer range. Let's see if the AI can handle torpedo boats with 1.8 kilometer range. Right. Let's see. They're to the northeast. Let's drop down to cruising speed until we spot them, and then try to kite away. There we go. There they are. As you would do in if you're being ambushed in the campaign. There's 4 of them. Now they're gone. Or invisible. Where are the other 11? They're not going at their top speed. Which is like, this is the kind of thing I've been annoyed at with the torpedo boats. Seem to be trying to engage with guns a lot of the time. They do eventually go in with torps, but we're seeing them act more like, in that first test, the 1950 test, we're seeing them act more like the heavy cruisers than the destroyers. Like they're sailing alongside and shooting with their guns, not rushing in with torps. We sank 1. And desperate. Came to within torpedo range, didn't launch. Probably because, well, these are still 1890 torpedoes. They are really slow. So heading away. You'd actually have to get much closer than the max range. And there we have some torps incoming. From Skate. One of them changing direction and will actually hit. No, detonated in the water. Because we outran it. Two dud torps taken. So there's 3 more torpedo boats. And here are more. Yeah, torpedo boats on their own still kind of struggling to behave the way they should. And there are no parameters to make, and I asked Duke about this, and it seemed like he didn't think it was possible to add something to make specific ships behave a specific way. So I think it's hard-coded somewhere. Which just seems to be a torpedo boat problem. At least when they're acting on their own. But then again, this kind of envelopment would work really well if they had long-range modern torpedoes. It's just that even with the 1.8 kilometer torps that I've given them, they're still kind of struggling. This unit has been slowed down. My blisteringly fast 18-knot battleship can now outrun them. But what if I were damaged or had a ship that was slower to begin with? Say 14 knots. There we go, slow down to 14. Are they gonna come at me? Or just whir about? No, there seems to be, again, there seems to be something with the way torpedo boats act compared to how destroyers act. Let's do this in 1900 versus destroyers. Actually, I set it to be 10 destroyers and 10 torpedo boats. And I gave them both the same kind of torpedoes so we can see if there's actually like a behavior difference between DDs and torpedo boats, or if I'm just imagining things. Smoke spotted north. I set the starting range to 10,000 meters. I guess for a lot of ambush missions you actually start much closer, now that I think about it. If that's the kind of battle we're simulating here. Yeah, because you often start almost in view range. $10,000 meters isn't that much, though. We are being spotted, so not that far away. There we go. First torpedo boats have been encountered, and they're very close. They're not even smoking. That's how close they get to an 1900 battleship with 1900 tower spotting. I've increased it for light cruisers, so I kept it the same for anything bigger. And we have incoming fish. So ferry is then the next target. But with 25 knot torpedo speed, we can kind of outsail them. The DDs now have the same standard torpedoes, not the fast torpedoes. Speaking of, I have not seen the DDs. I guess they might be here. There they are. Are you going at your top speed? Yes, actually. Ferry you have launched. So Jackal should be the next target then, as we try and dodge. One torp taken. Somehow dodged a lot of those torps that were launched from straight behind. Jackal had waited a little bit longer. She's gotten me like straight broadside at undodgeable distance. Itchen is also launched, and Itchen is gonna eat her own torpedoes. Almost. It's the joy of 25 knot torps. So yeah, if you're gonna be using the destroyers or torpedo boats to, I guess these are not 25 knot torpedoes because it's 1900, not 1890. They're actually 26.9 knot torpedoes. Not that it makes much of a difference. Usk coming in, and 6 torps. All hit the stern where we're already flooding. They knock out the rudder though. And now it's I think that's the end there. Yeah, torpedo boats actually engaging, but you see how much more aggressive the DDs are being. They've actually rammed themselves on Patrie on more than one occasion. And the train of torpedo boats just launching torpedoes one after the other. That is basically how I would do it. So that's pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with the AI behavior now, and I'm probably just gonna leave it be. Because whenever I think, oh, I'm just gonna do one minor adjustment more, and then it ends up just not working. So I hope you might have found that somewhat enlightening or something. And we're going to be back to the campaign now that I think I figured out the AI, or at least made them give me a little bit more of a little bit more opposition and not just passively sailing around, not doing anything. Goodbye, and take care.